How's everybody doing? Today I'm out here, I'm out in the field. I'm gonna perform a field assessment for you guys, and I'm gonna probably upload this later today to YouTube, if all goes well. I don't have a camera guy, so it's gonna be a little bit awkward. The video is gonna be jumping back and forth between angles. I'm using my iPhone, I'm not even using my camera. So usually the ranch assessments are performed at the beginning of the season before you even plant anything. So for instance, we're out here in a ranch that's already getting planted. This field right here, this one is not the one that we are looking at. We're actually looking at the ones past the irrigation on that other end. But whenever you start a field assessment, you always start with a water source, because like I mentioned in class, if you don't start with the water source and you come out here and it's, for some reason, the water source doesn't work, then all the work you did out there in the field is for nothing, right? This disqualifies the whole field. So this would be the water source for this ranch. This is just a canal coming out of a main. And I will do a walkthrough and show you what I look at when I'm looking at a canal. To do a ranch, before we start actually, we get from a grower a list of ranch maps, right? So this, for instance, this is the ranch we're gonna focus on. Today right now I'm over, and I'm over here. This is where I'm standing right now. This is where my truck is at. That's the water source. So that's where we're at right now. This is the field that's irrigating right here behind me, but I'm actually gonna focus on 630, 631, 648, and 647. So I'm gonna have to start up here to do the water source that's coming out of the main canal. And what you do is you can walk over this whole area and do a sanitary survey, which is what we did on the last video that you guys saw, right? So I'll start up here. I'll show you guys what it is that I'm looking for, and we actually have paperwork that I would conduct as well, and I'll be filling it up as I go. Maybe I won't fill anything just for the sake of time, but that's usually how it works. Whenever you do a ranch assessment, you get paperwork and you fill it up. So water source. This is the water source. The water is coming from that side over there, right? It's coming from that area. Water comes in, it goes into here. This is the takeout right here. This is the gate. They open it and siphon the water in. You can see a really cool little water effect right here. And what it does is it fills this irrigation canal right here. Right? It goes underground, fills that irrigation canal, and it goes and it ends up over on the two fields that we're going to focus on, which are the ones over there, right? To the area where we're going to be conducting the assessment, which would be over in this far end. We were over there looking at the water source and the canal on that end. So here, this is the 4 blocks that I'm going to focus on. It's this one here, the one on the far end, the one on that side over there, and the one over in the southeast corner over there. It's a fairly simple ranch. I like to do this ranch because there's instances of a lot of things that you can find in different ranches. And here I can highlight them. So for instance, I just came into the corner. I'm gonna start my walk, and yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. We'll start walking, and I'm not gonna do the whole walk here because it'll take up like 2-3 hours for me to do a ranch like this. But we'll start doing our walk. Is just gonna be representative. And then you start noting, so this is a Gatorade bottle, right? So it's trash. So you start noting things like that. If it's something really excessive, you have to get on the phone and right away get it fixed. If it's something that, I mean, it's like one bottle and the field, everything else is good, it might have fallen off of a tractor. Somebody picked up the trash, or it might have it doesn't even seem like it's new. It seems like it's been there a while. So it's not gonna be a big problem. It's not gonna cause a big problem in the long run, right? You're not gonna cry wolf and start getting people out here to do stuff like that. Sometimes if it's something like that, I'll pick it up, I'll throw it in the back of my truck, and that is that. If it's something a little bit more, then definitely get on the phone, make those phone calls, and get people out here so they can address the situation, get it cleaned up. So at the time of harvest, when you have the fields full of produce, you're not gonna have trash out there when the machine is trying to pick up the product or the people. So I usually get out here and I'll start walking the fields. I just walk, and I zigzag back and forth. This is an irrigation canal here, but it's not irrigating our field, so it can pose a risk for us if it's got frogs, and you can see the algae there at the bottom. So usually when I'm out here, I'm looking at the algae, making sure that there's nothing jumping out of there. This is a little steep, so I wouldn't be too worried about frogs jumping out of there. Plus the water is moving constantly. Frogs would just get swept out, and they would probably end up in the Gila River over in that end. So usually when I walk, I go back and forth, and I'm looking for dog tracks. I'm looking for fecal material, feathers. I'm looking for trash, like I said. I'm looking for dead animals. It's just a plethora of things that can be out here that can contaminate our product. You come out here and you start looking, it's something that is really funny, and a lot of people just kind of, every time I do this, they kind of shrug their shoulders. Is I hardly look into the production area. Like, I hardly look over there. I mean, I'm always looking there, right, just to make sure that there's no dog tracks, dairy tracks, or anything like that. But when there's product in there, you can't really see the ground, and we just kind of stay away from that because I'm food safety, right? Like, if the product is good, sometimes I do quality. If there's nobody available out and I'm close to that ranch, I'll go do a quality check for people. So that's something that we do at times, but it's very rare. But for the most part, we will look and concentrate on this areas around it, right? Adjacent areas, adjacent use, because we're not too worried about the product itself being contaminated, because if it is, there's no way I'm going to see that, right? If it's got salmonella, there's no way I'm going to see that. But I can probably see where the salmonella came in if I'm looking outside, right? So whenever we perform ranch assessments, we always have to focus on adjacent land. Remember the risk, adjacent land risks that might end up in our production area. For instance, here, you might have an area like this one where you have a working shed. It's where they fix tractors and stuff like that, and then you have a house. Whenever we have structures like this, we always like to focus on what's on the ground. Here they have a lot of old equipment, they have a lot of like metal and heavy stuff. Well, what this does, it compacts the ground, and when it compacts the ground, you start getting rodents. So you see the little rodent tracks right here and right there. You see rodent holes, and this one is active because the sand is super loose. It can also be a snake. I've gotten snakes coming out of those holes whenever I'm doing assessments. This one, you can see the tracks of the little rodents coming in. So you always have to take this into consideration, and you always have to recommend either some sort of fencing here along the edge so it keeps that stuff away, or you also like to just implement rodent strategies on this end. I'm going to do both. I'm going to request fencing and rodent strategies. This here is always a telltale sign that there is something going on, right? So this is my production area right here, and then there's some hay bales. I can smell the cow already, right? You always have to use all your senses. So there's a lot of equipment and old jeeps here, but then I can smell the cow, and I see a corral, and look at Big Boy right there. He's looking at us, right? So what do you guys think? 4-H, right? Hobby farm. It's a small little farm. We don't need to go crazy, but we definitely cannot use this portion right here. So this block, this complete block right here, which is the northeast corner block, would be prohibited because of the cattle there. Again, it's not so much the cow or the cattle, but it's more the feces of where it's standing. You can see there's a lot of feces right here, right under him, and that's the issue. So this is the corral. So this is where we would prohibit a block because of instances of animals near the production area. There are two more areas that I wanted to highlight. So we have, this is on the southwest side. So this is the last block, right? The one on the end over here. So here, this is an irrigation canal that then it turns into a drainage ditch, right? So all the excess water you got from what you're irrigating, it will end up here, and then from here it goes into the Gila River. This is the Gila River. So there are two areas that I feel I should just explain to you guys a little bit more, so it's easier for you guys to understand risks. So for instance, here because it's dirt, it's not as well maintained as the cement canals we were looking on that end. And you tend to have a lot more issues with frogs, birds. I mean, in here, this one is well kept. You don't see a lot of vegetation. Usually, all you see is vegetation. Here, you don't see a lot of vegetation. So this is actually a good clean canal. This is a good example of what to do, right? What instead of what not to do. All right, so now we're in the top end. So we're in the bottom part right here. We're by the Gila levee, right? So we're in the middle of 648, 647. A little bit to the left, that's the canal right there of that, the 646, 647. So this here would be 647, the left end. Usually it's always animals that we're trying to prevent, right? For this branch in particular, I chose it because the Gila River is right here. So you have the Gila River, river water, all that. What it does is you have access for water for animals to come in and drink, which before we came in, right, before human beings came in, they just come out here, drink water, and come back out. Well, there is, as you can see, usually everything that I'm doing in as part of the ranch assessment is looking out for animals. Well, there is another animal, worse than all the animals, which is, as you guys can see, human beings, right? Like, they come out here and they use the river as a waste disposal unit, which I don't understand, man. Literally, there's a dump like a mile that way, like right there. There's a dump, a free dump. You go there and then you put all this trash, you put it in the dump, and it's free, right? Like, you don't need to spend any money. Yet look at them. That's a bathtub right there. I don't know what the hell that is, but come on, man. So this is an issue. This would definitely get reported, and guess who has to clean it up now, right? Now we have the poor grower that is trying to grow food for people here in this area. Now he's the one that has to end up paying people to come and take this trash out, because what happens here, this might become harborage for rodents, right? This is an area where, I mean, you can have rodents eating the plastic, or if there's food or whatever, you know, cardboard, coming, drinking water, and then coming in and ending up in a product. So, so just to recap, we would have come out here as a class. All of us would have driven up down here, and we would have walked the whole area. Usually it takes us about an hour and 40 minutes because we're just kind of walking fast. And then we're just pointing out things. We're not actually doing an assessment. Usually I always take pictures. Whenever I take pictures, I would take pictures, like, for instance, the trash here. I'll take pictures of the cow, the animals. So whenever I do a ranch assessment, or whenever we do ranch assessments, you kind of, it's information, right? So we're gathering information and we're sending it to the grower in real time as we're out here. Sometimes you write it as an email and you send it to them. But the important thing is that you physically have to get out here and do this. You cannot do this from a desk. You cannot do this through Google Earth. Some people like to do that, but you can't. You have to be down here, because how else are you going to see dog tracks? How else are you going to see trash? How else are you going to see anything like that, right? So for things of this sort, it's boots on the ground. This is one of the biggest, most important aspects of food safety. When you get to the higher levels, the levels where people, like a grower food safety or a food safety specialist for, like, you know, one of the bigger companies, Dole, Fresh Express, Taylor. This is, like, most of your time is spent out here in the fields, looking at stuff like this, trying to find anything that might be an issue. Please, I mean, the assignment should be up, and just look at the video, go back to the PowerPoint, and then if you have any questions, let me know. I will upload this later today, and we should have, I mean, you guys should have about a week to write the essay. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Send me a message to Canvas, and that should be it. All right, so if you like the video, please hit a like. I'm just kidding. It's a YouTube joke, because I have to put this stuff in YouTube because Canvas won't work for some reason. I don't know. I'll see you guys in class, and if you have questions, if you see the video before then, let me know. Okay.